U-GeekTV.
I've seen a lot that has been said about Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black on Amazon Prime, and a lot can be said about it. Let me be clear, this is not a good film, but I'd be goddamn if I wasn't entertained by it. Let's get into it.
Wow, thank you for inviting us. We actually used to come here all the time, right, Thomas?
You don't hear her talking to you.
You better get your wife, man.
Ain't nobody gotta get me.
Let's just order. I just want to have a nice night.
I don't know how you do it, Ava.
I see she tells you everything, huh? Alice. You know what? I can't do this. And what y'all looking at?
Welcome back to U-GeekTV. I'm Jarius, the Unapologetic Geek, and today we're doing the unapologetic review of Divorce in the Black, directed by Tyler Perry. That alone lets you know this shit is about to be unhinged. Now, just like always, or just like usual, not always, I'm going to give my review spoiler-free on the front end, and on the back end, pause, huge pause, massive pause, I'm going to give the spoiler synopsis and breakdown of the film. And you definitely want to stick around for the spoiler part of this review because, I mean, of course, if you've seen it, but I got a lot to talk about and I'm going to try and keep it as short as I possibly can. But so much ridiculous shit happens in this film. Like, I got to break it down and I got to talk about it. So please stick around. Parlay with me. So, spoiler-free review. This film, like I said in the opening, it's not all that great. It's not. But the true value of it lies in the absurdity and how bad it is. Like, of all the Tyler Perry films, I feel like this one is probably the one I'm going to revisit the most just for pure absurdity and foolishness. It is. Oh my God, it is. It's bad. It's bad. It is not a good movie by any means. Like, it's not even a good Tyler Perry movie. He's one of the greatest like black figures of all time in terms of what he does for his people and him owning that studio and all of this stuff. Like, he's, I mean, a self-made billionaire and somebody who just really didn't give up on what his dream was. Like, all of the good fortune and everything, I feel like he's very deserving of it. But his movies and his TV shows, there's a lot of hit or miss in there. Um, I can't even take The Oval seriously. But oh my God, this movie right here, I feel like we're seeing Tyler Perry in his final form as an anime reference or whatever. Like, he's in his final form, and for better or worse, we gonna get this work. And yes, yet again, he directed, wrote, and produced this movie, and it shows. It shows with how the production of it just really feels rushed. It feels like it was done in a matter of maybe 10 to 14 days, and that's not typical, man, when you're making a movie. Well, it is on like a smaller budget, but I think it may have a smaller budget, but at the same time, like, when you write, produce, and direct, yeah, you're gonna try to cut costs wherever you can. But goddamn, man, like, Tyler, at least let somebody else edit the shit or something like that, or at least let somebody else write it, or maybe even direct it. You can't do everything. And the real time crunch and constraints, you can see it in the first half of this movie. It's like two different movies, it's night and day. The first half of this movie is very I'm not gonna say amateurish, but yeah, it's a little amateurish in how it looks and how it flows. Like, nothing really fits in terms of how the film progresses from a technical standpoint on the front end. And then the second half of the movie, it's a little bit sharper. The lighting is better. The sound is better. Hell, the acting is better. And that's why I feel like, I don't know the order that the scenes were filmed in, but I feel like more was done on the second half of the movie first, And the first half of the movie, everybody was like, okay, let's wrap all this shit up and get up out of here. Like, there are some editing issues, some sound issues, some light issues on the first half of the film, to the point where if you stop before you really got to the bigger crux of the story, I understand. But that the second half has all of the entertainment value to me outside of a spectacular opening that I'm going to get into in the spoiler review. And people who have seen this film know why it's important to talk about the opening. Now, Megan Good and Corey Hardick, they do the best they can with what they have. And for the most part, like, the cast really shows up. A real standout here for me is Richard Lawson. He plays Clarence, who is Ava's dad, and Ava is played by Megan Good. And I felt like his character was really dope. Seemed very wise, and he definitely didn't play about his family. So the acting is it's hit or miss, but you have so many consummate professionals. Like, it's you can buy the performances better than you would if you just had a bunch of amateur actors. That's it. So my verdict: while this movie on a technical level is just rough, it's just bad. There's so much entertainment value in the bullshit that happens throughout the film. So for me, it's a basic Tyler Perry movie, so it's gonna get a basic Tyler Perry movie rating, and that is a unapologetic basic as fuck, which is a 2 out of 5. But please, by all means, if you just want to have a good laugh and just look at some really crazy shit, check this one out. Just know that it's bad. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, it's time to get into the spoiler shit, and I am looking forward to this. If you're still with me, here we go. The first 8 to 10 minutes of this movie is absolutely unhinged Tyler Perry drama. I mean, my God in heaven. So Clarence, played by Richard Lawson, is giving a eulogy for it's for a dead person or whatever. And this is for the family of Corey Hardick's character, who was named Dallas Bertram. It's his brother, and he's giving a eulogy. And Clarence just goes full heel in the pulpit and basically tells everybody, this man has gone to hell. I know in my heart he's gone to hell because he's a piece of shit when he was alive, and he was a piece of shit when he was dead. That's basically what he said. He didn't say it verbatim the way I just said it, but that's essentially what he said. He just basically said the Bertrams, all of them, because it's like 4 boys overall, all of them ain't shit, and they ain't never gonna be shit. No, I think it was 5, but all of them, they just never gonna be shit. So yes, he deserved to die, and I hope he burns in hell. That's the sentiment that I got from Clarence in this whole sermon. Finally, Mama Bertram, played by Ursula Robinson, she has enough. She stands up and she like, nah, you ain't gonna sit up here and talk about my family and treat us like we shit. Because, and granted, Clarence definitely was treating all of them like they would shit, like they was all just the worst people in the world. And so she gets up and, hey, we just get this spectacular back and forth between Clarence and Linda, who is Mama Bertram or whatever. We get this huge back and forth, and at this point, it's revealed that Ava is the daughter of Clarence, and Dallas is the son of Linda, and it's revealed that they're married to each other. So these are in-laws that are going at it like this in front of the entire congregation. And right now it doesn't sound absurd, but it goes into a whole nother level when Jean, who is Clarence's wife, she stands up and she says, look at all the shit that we've done for your family. And Linda stands up and starts to disrobe and take her clothes off. Now, you don't get any nudity or anything, but she starts to take her clothes off. And I'm like, hold the fuck up. What are we doing, right? So at this point, I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way we go beyond this point, like, to get even crazier. Oh, yes, the hell we do. She tells her boys to get up, and I'm like, all right, she's getting ready to take this, to have them take the coffin out. because that's the only way we could escalate this even further. Like, just have them grab the coffin and get him out of there. Well, then you find out that Clarence had something to do with with the purchase of the coffin. You already know where this is headed. But in your mind, you're like, there's no way we can go there, right? Wrong. We go there. Linda Bertram, who, by the way, it looks like this part may have been written for Monique, but Ursula, who does a solid job of what she has to work with, she does well in this role. But I just kept seeing Monique as I was watching this. I'm like, this had to be originally written for Monique, and she just didn't do it. And we know the history with them, but it looks like they pretty much squashed everything. But this part looks like it was written with Monique in mind, and Ursula does her best impression of Monique to me. But Linda Bertram has her sons open the casket up and take their brother's body out of the casket. They load this damn carcass in a pickup truck, and I laugh uncontrollably at this point. Again, man, a little bit about me. I appreciate good film, good movies, good drama, great theater. The last part is the most important part. I appreciate great theater. This is good theater, man. To turn my brain off, to stop being an unapologetic geek and kind of give myself a soft reset, I watch trash reality television. This right here fits into trash reality television. And at this point, they got me hook, line, and sinker. I know this movie's going to be bad, but I want to see it through, my boy. Man, they hauled that damn body up out of there, and we are off to the races with just a spectacular display of complete bullshit for the rest of this movie. So after this, we find out a little bit more about Ava, and she's basically treated like shit, and because of course the Bertrams, them not being shit, are gonna treat her like shit, and we just find out, and we're supposed to feel for her and all this kind of stuff. It's all bad. So fast forward a little bit, she has a conversation with her husband, and Dallas reveals to her that her mom had him to kill his dad because he was putting his hands on her or whatever. And that's fucked up. And it was different. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll get to explore that through that. No, they use this virtually for nothing. Like, any feelings that you're supposed to have for Dallas, they are quickly going to be erased, because when I tell you Dallas is completely unhinged throughout this entire movie, I mean that shit. This man announced to the entire restaurant at a couple's dinner with his best friend and his best friend's wife. He tells his wife that he wants to divorce her. Then he basically shouts it to the high heavens, and the entire restaurant finds out together that this man is going to divorce his wife. That's probably the least ain't shit thing that he did. Like, he goes completely full heel here. And when his wife moves on, he gets pissed off and he comes to her house, lets himself in after she just had sex with a childhood friend upstairs, who's still upstairs, by the way. He comes in, he fixes himself a bowl of cereal because the woman don't want him anymore, and she signs the divorce papers. He gives her like hell back and forth, leading up to her finally signing. And then when she does sign, that shit ain't good enough. So he goes crazy again. Y'all, he goes upstairs, sees the childhood friend in the bed. They get into a fight. Benji whoops his ass. After Benji whoops his ass, Ava grabs this man and drags his unconscious body all the way outside, downstairs, through the kitchen, and outside. She gets him to the truck. She can't get him in the truck. Benji does a fireman carry that's over the shoulder and completely embarrasses Dallas and puts him back in the truck in the driver's seat. That shit is hilarious. And Benji and Ava, they go on about their day. Again, these are things that would not happen in real life. And that adds to the theater of all of it. And it's so fucking funny. Now, as I continue down the path of why Dallas just is an irredeemable character and just, he really ain't shit. He poisons Benji's farm animals. Like, that's fucked up. So at this point, like again, it's nothing you can do. That whole shit about trying to feel bad for him because he had to kill his own father. Nah, I feel like he was destined to kill his own father anyway. And if it wasn't his own father, it was gonna be somebody. He's a complete degenerate. All of his brothers are complete degenerates. They ain't in drugs or none of that shit. Like they're not even making money for the level of degenerate that they are. They're just a bunch of bitch ass, punk ass degenerates, and everybody hates them. And yeah, Clarence was right. That brother probably is burning in hell right now. So then Ava decides to have or be in like a small gathering, a small dinner party or something like that with her best friend who is married to the best friend of Dallas. And then Dallas shows up while Benji is there and he antagonizes everybody. And then Dallas reveals that his best friend had an affair. And the best friend is like, yeah, I knew about it, which is true or whatever. And like this man Dallas is just trying to blow up everybody's spot. Like he has decided that he's gonna be the heel that not only we deserve, but a Tyler Perry movie needs. He puts all of this on his back, and he's just this spectacular asshole for the duration. So on the other side, you're kind of thinking, why did Ava put up with this marriage for so long? And in typical Tyler Perry fashion, it just we have to have a bit of an empowering arc with the black woman who has been just treated badly. And as far as these go, it's not the best that he's ever done, but he does a decent job, and he goes another route. This film is really about the support system that Ava has. And it's a strong system. She has her parents, of course, and she has her best friend. And then finally, she has Benji, who eventually becomes her new lover. And it's typical Tyler Perry flair. But I kind of like the way it was done this time. I will say this: they spend a lot of time and a lot of scenes linger. And this is on the technical front on building her up and taking her through her arc of just becoming stronger. And it's kind of a chore to get through to a degree. But once it's there, you find out that from these characters, she learned not only to kind of take control of her life, but to also not back down. And that's something I appreciated. None of the characters are scared of Dallas or the Bertrams, no matter how crazy they get and no matter what bullshit they do. Like at one point, getting back to Dallas, he goes and he harasses Ava's mother. He harasses Jean in the store. And Jean doesn't back down to him in that moment. She gets out of there because she wants to be sexy. Like she's an older lady and he's a young, crazy ass man. But she gets back home. She doesn't tell her family about it. This leads to a spectacular scene where Clarence comes in and she just tells him, hey, this is what I'm fixing. But you find out that Clarence got a phone call from somebody in the store because they stay in this like country, small town. And they told him, look, your son-in-law or former son-in-law just went nuts on your wife. Clarence is pissed at Jean that she didn't tell him. Jean is like, look, man, I know you're going to go kill that motherfucker. And Clarence is basically like, you damn right. He loads his guns up and he heads back to the Bertram compound or whatever. And they get into it. And he gets jumped, man. And that's adding to how irredeemable Dallas is. If I'm not mistaken, they shot him in the leg. No, they busted his leg up and they beat the old man up pretty bad. And at this point is when Ava just has had enough, and she does what basically a lot of movies that involve domestic violence, with what I've seen a lot lately, is that the women lure this crazy motherfucker to the house, creates an environment where he tries to attack, and then they blow him to smithereens. And that's exactly how the movie ends. Ava put some slugs inside of old Dallas, and yeah, she got him the fuck up out of there. Which leads me to this other thing. Like after all of this, the Bertrams have learned nothing, and Linda promises essentially revenge against Ava and her family. It's a funny ass ending, honestly. A funny ass ending to a funny ass movie, and it's sat out there like it's a cliffhanger for maybe another film. And I'll be honest, I watch this shit too. But there's one angle that's really interesting that I wanted to get into, and it's within the construct of the Bible religion in marriage. Ava reveals pretty early that she stayed in the marriage because, the Bible says for better or for worse. I think the Bible says that. It could be one of those things where black people say the Bible says something that it really didn't. But it's for better or for worse. And she goes into the vows, ritual rapport, and all of that stuff. And she felt compelled to stay with Dallas, even though she knew he was stone cold crazy, and to try and help him to work through it. And it just wasn't her thing. And her parents wanted nothing to do with Dallas so much that in a sense they kind of just moved past being there for their daughter in the capacity that she needed. And we've seen a lot of times, like, we know people who go through like relationship drama and stuff. You kind of get tired of it at some point. Like, some people are just toxic. I'm not referring to these people. um it's hard for people who are going through that, who know they need to get out of those situations. You have some people that kind of run out of patience or just kind of wash their hands of things, when in reality they really needed support. And that's what Ava needed. And when she got that, she had the strength to stand on her own and leave. But there's a very heartfelt conversation. It's one of the best parts about this that happens between Gene and Ava. And Gene is basically telling them, look, we were so wrapped up in the church that we kind of abandoned you, and abandoned teaching you certain things. And one of the primary things is, you never should let a man put his hands on you, or I don't know. Yeah, they do hint that it became physical, but you never should let a man just treat you any kind of way. That's not what I experienced with your father, and it's not what I would want for you. Yes, you knew better, but there are lessons that we could have learned and we could have taught you, that you could have learned, that would have helped you to avoid this whole situation. And she apologized to Ava for that, and that was very heartfelt. In the same token, Clarence uh, kind of displays his pain in terms of what Ava went through. And again, he takes some responsibility for not really teaching her. Instead of just showing her what a man should be, he really didn't teach her what a man should be from his regard. And that's a lesson that really stuck with me, and some dialogue that really stuck with me in this film. Is it enough to save the film overall? No, but I loved um, I loved just that aspect and how it was communicated, that little bit of the story. I appreciated that, really. So good job. That is kudos to Tyler Perry on conveying that message to just really treat your women right, man. Don't do all this shit, tearing them down mentally and verbally and all that kind of stuff. Just treat them right. That's what it came down to. That's the core message of this film. Treat women right. That's it. So yeah, Divorce in the Black. Did you see it? What did you think about it? Please let me know in the comments. Continue to like, continue to share. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your support. I truly, truly appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Jarius, the Unapologetic Geek, and I am out.